Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to another video where I'll be playing some historic Brawl as part of our Midweek Magic event on Arena. So, the event is very simple. We just bring a 100 card Brawl deck using any cards that are on Arena and are also legal in historic Brawl, and we just go at it. So, we're bringing our favorite 5-color Golos historic Brawl deck. A lot of cards got banned since the last time we've played this. Excuse my dog for barking loudly there, but we'll go ahead and just get started. We're just playing with a bunch of bombs, haymakers that just will kind of win us the game as soon as we cast them. Of course, this deck is going to be pretty fragile, and against a Keenan deck, Keenan's going to be probably faster than we will be, so... this hand is looking a little sketchy here. Let's see what happens. Oh, what is that? Yeah, Keenan's going to have a bunch of mana dorks. That Hall of Fountain tapped. This is not going to be... This is probably going to be a loss. I can just smell this. Oh, they don't got it. It's like they don't have the mana. But we are not drawing our lands. We have 36 lands in this deck. We could increase a little bit. We have so many ways to search for lands in this deck. I don't think it's necessary. Next turn is when they can start playing things. Oh no. Okay, we're just gonna concede. There's no point in fighting. Not getting to our third land is never a great thing. Yeah, again, there's a lot of 2-mana cards in this deck. We just didn't see anything. Or a third land, which could have got us going. Oh, this deck right here. Alright, better. We have a Lotus Cobra this time. Set this Harvest hand. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Pretty good. This is from, actually, Modern Horizons 2. Pretty neat. Alright. Set this. Oh, hold on. We do not have a green source, but we do have Arcane Signets, so... Let me option out for Lotus Cobra, but that's okay. In conjunction with Fatal Passage. Long Wild. Fair Magic. I like this so much better. We got Arcane Signet, Lotus Cobra, like, tiny bit of it's actually nice. Alright, next thing we want to do, play this. Arcane Signet. Next turn we can... Yeah, okay, here's where things can get going. Okay. Yeah, definitely like what we're about to do. Lotus Cobra. Play a Forest. Play Prismarix. We're gonna do 2 damage, and we will create a treasure token, I think. Target this guy. Target player. That's me. We are so far ahead of our point now. You know, I could have played Domri, but Chelasar is pretty good. Alright, so we have how much mana now? We have 5. We'll have 6 from this, 7 and 8. Wow. We have a lot of mana to work with here. And we can remove their Chelasar too, actually, thanks to Domri. So let's make sure we do this correctly. red mana. Crack that. Game is frozen. Okay. We will grab white mana, I think. No, blue mana. Okay, let's get green. Okay, it's our opponent concedes. Well, it's as simple as that, folks. So I was going to play Golos after all that, because we were going to have about 8 mana, I think, from that play. 4, 5, 6, 7, and then potentially 8 with a treasure token. So I'd play Golos, we grab whatever land we want, right? This will trigger Lotus Cobra, and then we can grab green mana or whatever off of that, and then from there we can play Domri with all of our mana except for our treasure token right there, and then we can use Domri's ability to let Golos fight Trelasara, and yeah, we're in full control of that game right there. I do not think our opponent was going to be able to handle that. So that's a much better representation of what the deck can do right there. We didn't get to see the big plays, but our opponent knew that they were screwed. We had a lot more ramp, a lot more interaction. And even if things went south, we still had like a time warp. We had some ways to deal with the creatures, like with Domri. So I like Domri because it functions as both, as a removal spell, but also as a ramp spell, and also makes it so that your creature spells can't be countered. Let's move on to the next game. What's our prize? Ooh, a Briarbridge Tracker. I guess I already have one, but it's always nice to have more. Okay, let's move on to the next game. Yeah, that's what we want to see. We want to see a 2-mana play. Really just kind of want to figure out and just keep the pressure on our opponent until we can get goals. Oh my god, another Keenan deck. I kind of want to just on the scoop to these decks because, in addition to the fact that we have some interaction at least, so we can probably hold on a little bit. Not going first is a huge blow though. We're playing Dork of some sort. A million dorks. Who plays Zagoth Triome? I really should have picked up more copies of these when the Quarry came out. Like just the Triome in general. We're just falling behind. We're just gonna play Hinterland Harbor and oh geez, I don't know what I do next. I'm just gonna pass. Mole Drifter, trying to evoke. Drawing 2 cards. I'm okay with that. That is fine. I really don't like what I'm about to do here, but I think I gotta do it. I got Assassin's Trophy, this guy. They're so far ahead in mana right now. That's the thing about Keenan decks. They're so stupid when it comes to like how much mana they can generate, because he just doubles, well, effectively doubles the amount of mana you make with your dorks. So he just gets a land, he plays another land, and basically the extra land plus the dorks produce 5 mana. It's not ideal. This is not a good position to be in. I do have counter magic at least, so there is that. Mystical Speed is just not going to be enough. So I should have probably played my forest instead. Sure, why not? We're just kind of screwed anyway. We'll play Tail's End. We have to just keep... Oh, what is this? Leyline of Abundance. Whenever we tap a creature from an additional green mana? Oh. Oh, man. What is... That's gross. Okay, nothing we can do about that. They foretell. Okay. They have 1 mana up. Let's see. Okay, he's binding the Old Gods to blow up the ley line. I could just play World Tree, pass it, try to counter with Tail's End. Would that really matter? You have 5, 9 mana, finish doing 10. Keen costs... we'll play World Tree. I hate that we're just not doing anything, but we have to keep 2 of these guys up at all times. I just need to slow down the Keenan train. The Tail's End, with Mystical Dispute. Tail's End. Yeah, probably have counter magic. Oh, this is gonna hurt them real bad. Mystical Dispute on their Sublime Epiphany. Oh, this is a backbreaking play. Oh, that's huge. That was a huge one. If they played like any other like counterspell, we were just kind of boned. But Sublime, they just tapped out for Sublime Epiphany. Wow. They're still so ahead in mana. They have like 10 mana right now on board. Like, Keenan costs... what, 6 mana at this time? So, like, all their dorks basically generate 3 mana each. That's so disgusting. Yeah, like, we can't really do much about that. Binding the Old Gods, I guess I could try to stop the ley line. Like, that only does so much. The difference between 4 versus 6 mana, potentially 7 mana, is pretty huge. And there are a ton of ways they could just interact with Golos and really wreck my life. Like they definitely want me to play Golos. I think I'm gonna run Fighting the Old Gods train here and blow up the ley line. I just can't have that ley line continuously generate more mana. Ugh. Oh, Lord. That's a dramatic worry. Play Keenan. Turn. Oh, deck. Hello. Oh! What did I just choose? I just chose some random land. In Zagoth Triome? Sure. I am kind of boned next turn. Can only foretell A-Alrund's Epiphany. See if I can survive. Done the best I could. I wish I had one more piece of interaction. Board wipe. Okay. We can grab any land we want. So... doesn't really matter too much. I'm gonna choose a land that comes in play tap, which is like Temple of Mystery. This gets us a scry. Liliana, is that enough? Enough? Lilian is not going to be enough for us. Okay, so... Holy critter. It's gonna be really disgusting. Okay. How do we go around this? They kept up a lot of mana. This is five mana they have. Unless all their spells are just like super expensive. I have a feeling this is like a counter spell over here. Ah, darn it. We need a way to get rid of that freaking enchantment. We have plenty of interaction. We just gotta find it. Is there anything we can grab from the graveyards? Moldrifter. Moldrifter's pretty sweet, but except that we puts it under the owner's control. Not helpful. Alright. We're just gonna take the extra. Alright, our opponent does not have interaction, it seems. Dolphin's veto. Okay. Oh, gosh. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9 mana to work with here. Like, I know that Kenrith is probably the best play here, because I can draw a card at least off of it. But there's a part of me that also wants to play Vorinclex, because if we draw into any of our, like, Planeswalkers who have, like, amazing ults, that could be game-changing. Although we know that Liliana's are in the bottom of our deck. Let's buy ourselves a little bit more time by, like, attacking. No attacks. Kenrith or Vorinclex? Kenrith or Vorinclex? That is the question. The ceiling of Vorinclex is much higher than Kenrith, but I'm just gonna run with the safe choice, I guess. Let's do Kenrith. Kenny boy. It would be kind of neat. Oh! No! Dolphin's veto. Stop that. Don't do that. Dolphin's veto cannot be countered. Oh! Heal. Thank God. It's pretty good. Yeah, we're going to need... Oh, we need a board wipe. We need a board wipe so bad. Four, 5, 6, 7. I don't think I have anything that's like 2 mana that can like actually pop this enchantment here. I'm gonna throw Golos under the bus, I think. What is the opponent trying to do here? Okay. Decline. I'm gonna put counter. Me. So Garrick is one of those like game-winning bombs, but it would not have made a difference because they have Key or Best of Sea God, and it's not like we have like a lot of creatures anyway. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So let's see. They have 6. I can block this guy here, I guess. One time. With Golos. He was kind of bad. 6, 7, 14, 16. I could just gain an obscene amount of life. That could do the job too. Alright. How much damage you got again? 4, 11, 12, 8, or 20, 26. So I could just gain 15 life. Go down to 6. It doesn't seem that good. I feel like our best bet is just to simply draw a card. Like, we're already losing. Target player. It's gonna be me. I'm gonna draw a card. Dasa. Not gonna do it. Not gonna be enough. No attacks. That's fine. Spinning the wheel with Keenan. You got it. Oh, that was gross. Explanation. Well, we had a decent chance at first, but we were just one interaction shy of kind of taking control of the game here. Oh, wow. To save everyone's time here, I'm going to concede. I think people have seen what Keenan can do before. They're just gonna keep doing stuff, so I will concede just to save everyone time here. We know that they've won already. It was actually a solid match. We just, unfortunately, again, could not find that extra piece of interaction. There we go. A Golos mirror match. Just what I've been waiting to see. You can't play this in EDH in real life, so we're gonna play it here. This is okay. We have some interaction, which is important against Golos, I think. Being able to Mystical Dispute. Prismari Command is going to be huge later on. Let me start with... Okay, I guess our opponent will concede too. Yeah, there's no point in playing a hand that's like mediocre. There's no consequence for conceding. Unlike in the ranked ladder, so things look bad, just concede and move on to the next game. Get your pride. Best to knock these out real quick, because I know everyone's got other stuff to Nice. Ephemery is a card I considered putting in a stack. One reason I don't put it in there is one, it's a rare, so I'm pretty stingy with those. And two, well, I kind of just want to jam-pack the deck with as much. Another one of these. Well, as we saw, if we have interaction, we can really just destroy our opponent. This is kind of highly suspect here. I like the fact that we have settled the wreckage. There's an Uro here, but we need that third land. Hail Summer is a little nice to combat against interaction, but it's not going to be very useful against this matchup. They don't take the first one. I don't know if I like that very much. Wow, this is kind of worse, actually. Temple of Mysteries, let's see what happens. Okay, sure. Okay, we are going to do a Valki play here. I want to see what they're up to. Weaver of Harmony is pretty good. Is there any way we can do stuff like that? Okay, whenever one or more other creatures of Tireless and power Tireless entered about new control draw place. Triggers only once each turn. Does he have any way to get rid of my vault? No? Well, we know that their next turn play is going to be a Sithis, so it's not like we're taking away much from them. But I think I still want to take away Leave of Harmony. Huh. Oh, Veil Summer so useless in this matchup here. This thing flies? Dang. I think I will turn into a dog, actually.
I look forward to seeing you running at work. The only authority that I recognize is chaos.
And I don't want to run into Valki. I don't want to give him the Leaf of Harmony. Yep. I don't think they're gonna attack. Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright. Let's see. We have the planes here, so some Pilgrim can like untap next turn. We will need to use this ability first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you doing something?
We are doing something. Alright, long as you control 7 or more enchantments, because you never cast an enchantment spell, so... Yeah, so this thing's gonna come up 3-4 next turn. I'm not really in the business of doing 6 just yet. Alright, we're gonna grab our World Tree. The World Tree is just the go-to land to get here, since Field of Dead is not legal. So let's get World Tree. This way we can just fix all of our colors. I'm not going to give them back their guy. I'm just holding Reaper Harmony hostage. Yeah, sure. The downs, I just don't like it when Valki put something on the stack, even though you technically can't do anything with it. Yeah, they're getting a lot of value with themselves, but not much I can do. Not gonna attack with it. Pass. Okay, so we'll play Sunpetal Grove, right? Raska cannot blow up their dude. This thing, unfortunately, is too big. We can slow them down, though, so let's give this a whirl. Alright, so... kind of weird to do this. I say, target creature I control. I'm gonna fight you. Hiya!
We are the many!
And then I'm gonna use Ashiok to bounce away their Hall of Haunting. Doesn't remove it, but it definitely swings the tempo in my favor. This Veilsire is so useless. I have it in here just because there's so many blue and black decks. It's so good when it does come up, but in these weird scenarios where I'm playing against like a non-blue or black deck, not useful. I think our opponent's just about to concede here. They're going to concede once we play Ashiok and balance their thing. Oh, no, okay. Good sport. Ashiok.
Listen to your pain.
Eat that away.
It was grand night. Your heroics are but a dream to me.
Yeah, normally it would be a good idea to use the Golos effect, but I have the interaction I need in hand already, so I'd rather use that to really just hamper them down. Okay, that guy's fine. Ooh, Lion Sash. This is just generating lots of value. No land, I see. Alright. Hostage take. That's nice. Okay.
Oh, I wish you could see your face while I'm beating you.
Yeah, we're not gonna bother fighting here. I'm just gonna spin the die. I'm just gonna spin this instead. Whee! See what happens. Nice. Yeah, play Goosey Goose. Play a dude.
The shadows awaken.
I am the master here.
Yep, we got this. Yep. We're just gonna make our opponent sack 2 creatures. We got 2 creatures we can sacrifice. We can keep the Valki and the Golos. Would sack the Goose and the Nightmare. And just draw 2 cards off of that. Seems pretty good. And yeah, we just had pretty much firm control of this game right here. We play a very strong mid-range game. And we have a lot of ways to hold off our opponent early on, like all this interaction, like Valki, you know, if you draw this, it's not the end of the world. You can still, again, just use its effect, kind of disrupt your opponent for a bit. I don't think it would have done much if they had Weaver of Harmony, but we were able to ensure that we didn't get our butts beaten up real bad there. Domri came in pretty handy. Like this, you saw the power of Domri right here. Like not only it's a mana dork, pumps our guys a little bit, and it's removal, you know? Golos has a big, sizable toughness right there. It can withstand most things. It can kill off a lot of the smaller things like Sithis. It can kill off this guy, that guy, you know? So, not something to underestimate right here. And also the fact that your creature spells you cast this turn can't be countered, so bye-bye blue decks. As long as Domri resolves, at least. That's pretty sweet. Ashiok is one of the weaker planeswalkers, but its ult is pretty good if you can get that going, because you can cast your opponent's face-up spell or cards that are in exile. Yeah, unfortunately we saw Veil Summon not being useful, but when it does come up, you will feel really powerful. Being able to negate maybe a 5-mana spell with just Veil Summer is just backbreaking. Also, the fact that your spells cannot be countered either, you know. We really want to ensure that Golos sticks around. Yeah, that is the deck right there. We got to see a little bit more of what could do there, at least. We got to get at least one trigger off, or activation. So I'm happy about that. Historic Brawl is always fun, because I get to play Golos, which I cannot play in real life, any EDH anymore. I have just a hollow shell of a 5-color Walker deck that does not have a commander at this time. What is this card? It's another blink effect. Huh, interesting. I'll run through the card by card, but this is really just a 5-color kind of good stuff deck. It's focused on a lot of walkers. That explains why you saw the Vorinclex earlier. I just never was able to, play that because I was trying to stabilize against Keenan. Keenan's good, so if you got a good Keenan deck, it's definitely a good deck to run because Keenan plays a lot of interaction. It really did feel awesome that we were able to stop their Sublime Epiphany. It felt like we had a chance to take control of the game, but we could not capitalize on that, unfortunately. But yeah, so we have Gilded Goose as a turn 1 mana dork here. We really could run Llanowar Elves too, honestly, but I don't want to run too many dorks because the more dorks you run, the more kind of, whiffs you run into with Golos in a way, because you kind of don't want to see those dorks. So you need kind of a good balance of those. Veil Summer is good protection, and it can replace itself if your opponent's running against playing a blue or black deck. Stops your opponent from countering your stuff, and your permanent, you and your permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and black to the turn. Pretty powerful effect, but not so much in the games we played in. Renowned Weaponsmith. This guy is probably the best turn 2 mana dork here because it can get us 2 mana, get us straight into Golos on turn 3, and if it's left unchecked, that's a turn 4 Golos activation, assuming you hit your land drops and you have your colors too, mind you. Tail's End is just a universally strong card in a Brawl setting because there's so many different things that you can hit with this, like commanders, activated triggered abilities. There's a lot of different things you can stop. You can stop an Ulamog cast trigger. You can stop the activation of a Golos if it already hit the board. You can stop Golos itself. You saw me use it against Keenan to try to counter it, basically. So it's a very strong spell that comes up a lot. Valki, God of Lies, if ideally you want to play, the flip side. However, if it's not the end of the world, like you saw in that one game where I just play it on its front side, because you can still become a nasty creature, and if you get lucky, you might turn into an awesome creature, and synergize with that. But Tibble Cosmic Imposter, I love that card right there. I have an EDH deck for it. Explore, we got some of the ramp spells in a way. This kind of replaces itself. Land ramp is always the best form of ramp for this kind of strategy, because that way our opponent's not as likely to disrupt us while we try to ramp into Golos. So we got Explore, Legion Curative, Incubation Druid, Lotus Cobra. You saw how great Lotus Cobra is in that one game again. Paradise Druid, Wolfwilla Haven. We got Growth Spiral, Arcane Signet, Mind Stone. These are 2 mana plays. We also have a little bit of interaction with Assassin's Trophy. You saw me use that against Keenan, just to try to slow him down a little bit. We got Delvin's Veto, you know, it did come up again in the Keenan matchup. You know, that we may have lost that one. We got to see the power of some of these cards right here. This card can't be countered. Simple as that. It stops. There's a lot of non-creature spells, especially considering that Brawl is the one setting where Planeswalkers are legal as commanders, so being able to stop a commander with this is pretty huge. Or any of their like counter spells or big mana plays, you know, like Casualties of War or something, or Time Warp. In this case, I think we stopped A-Alrund's Epiphany, which is huge. We do not want our opponent to get an extra turn. And let's see, Heroic and Intervention is kind of the similar reason why we're running Veil Summer. We want to make sure that our permanents stick around, especially Golos, you know, give them hexproof and indestructible. So let's see, we got Mystical Dispute, especially against some of the more powerful Brawl decks. A lot of the more powerful Brawl decks typically run blue, so being able to function as effectively like a 1 mana counterspell is pretty huge. And we saw that against Sublime Epiphany. You know, they tapped out. We punished them really hard with this. They probably didn't see this one coming. If they had any other counterspell, like a 3 or less mana counterspell, we would not have been able to successfully stop them, because they can still pay. It's a mana league. They can still pay 3 mana to let their spell resolve. We got some more ramp spells and Cultivate, Llanowar Visionary. I like this because it replaces itself. Downside, of course, it only gets you green mana, and you know your opponent can shock it or whatever. As Zagoth Triome, you know, it's a dork. You know, turns your other legendary creatures into dorks, and you know, in a pinch, you know, you can cast a Prismatic Bridge side, which is pretty neat. Prismatic Command is a strong card. Honestly, if you have the ability to do so, let's see, how do you spell this card? I think I have this card. Colligan's Command. Colligan's Command is actually another really strong card in Historic Brawl because of how prevalent artifacts are and how small some dorks are. So if you can be able to like kill off a dork or some problematic creature while also blowing up maybe their mana rock, that's huge right there. You have so much tempo just from that. Being able to put your opponent so far behind while you get to keep doing your stuff. Honestly, I probably will craft this card, being a one of, because I do have a good number of rare wild cards to spare here, and this is a card that I would definitely use in a lot of decks. You can also, in a pinch, you know, bring back some of your creatures from your graveyard, or make your opponent discard a card if you only got like 1 card left and you want to like counter theirs, make them counter a spell, or make them waste a counter spell or something like that, or board wipe. So Colligan's Command is pretty strong to pair with Prismari Command. Prismari Command kind of does a few similar things. It can also shock something, it can blow up an artifact, but difference is that it can also create a treasure token, so it's kind of like pseudo ramp, and it's like card selection. You draw 2, discard 2, so it's like Faithless Looting. A lot of flexibility. You saw again how strong that was in that one matchup. Domri Anarchabolus, this did a lot of work. They never did that much work in the past for me, but when you're up against like some weenie commanders, it definitely can do a lot of work. Just giving that creatures that +1/+0 boost is actually pretty powerful. There's a lot of little things about Domri that I do like. They just I never really got to see in action until like today, so that's pretty awesome. Deafening Clarion, you know, it's a mini board wipe where, you know, you want to slow down maybe any of the aggressive strategies that might be out there. So 3 damage to each creature, you know, creatures you control gain lifelink, so Golos should be able to withstand Deafening Clarion because it's got 5 toughness, so you can, on a crackback, you can, you know, gain some life, you know, try to stabilize if needed. We got Fabro Elder, again, another really strong mana dork right here because it can tap up to 5 mana, and it's got Vigilance, so it's a pretty sizable beater too if you have up to 5 different. If you have 5 colors among permanents you control, Uro is just Uro, you know, so good. Draws you a card, gains life, becomes a massive beater in the mid to late game. Chromatic Lantern fixes our colors, just probably the best 3 mana rock we can probably ask for. Day of Judgment, Settled Wreckage, these are our board wipes. We have some more board wipes in Doomscar as well. Let's see here. We have Spark Double, nice, just combo card. Really, it's kind of cool to combo this off with like Nicol Bolas or really any of our Planeswalkers. It's just nasty. We got Thassa, Deep Dwelling, because we have a couple of like cards we can blink with this, like Golos. Like just being able to blink it's just like pretty powerful. We got Teferi, Time Raveler. I'm not sure how good this guy is just because he got nerfed. He's 1 more mana, and it's not like your opponent can't cast spells at instant speed during their turn. So that's the main knock on Teferi here. He's got one more loyalty though, so there is that. But his -3 did not change, so that's the good thing. This card is probably one that I could see cutting. Hostage Taker is another piece of interaction as well, being able to slow your opponent down. If they can't interact with this, then you can play your opponent's creature or artifact. Both are very relevant. Binding the Old Gods. This is such a good saga right here, blowing up literally any non-land permanent, and there's a lot of strong enchantments and artifacts and planeswalkers. You know, creatures are not the only problem in Brawl. And it also functions as ramp. The third mode almost never is relevant for me. Death Sprout, you know, it's creature removal while also, you know, being functioning as ramp as well. Vraska, Golgari Queen blows up any non-land permanent value 3 or less, so we could use this to blow up a Keenan, you know, trying to slow our opponent down. For early turns, we're either trying to ramp and or interact with our opponents so that we slow them down so that way we can play a fair game of Magic. Tamio is kind of more of a mid to late game kind of card. If you get to that point somehow, because this guy she can basically like find you any card you need and get it back to your hand. Key to the Archive is another like a rock right here. It's pretty neat because you can grab one of the 15 different spell book cards, and there are some really nasty spells in here, you know, like Approach the Second Sun's and Wind Condition, Demonic Tutors in there, Time Warps in there, pretty good stuff. And it fixes your colors too. Again, you can tap it for 2 mana of any combination of colors, you know. I do like this guy, and downside is it does come to play tapped, but if you play it on curve, it's not so bad, like on turn 3. Solemn Simulacrum, you know, we all know what it does, you know, it ramps. Let's see, Kenrith is just one of those flexible bombs. Got to see what it could do a little bit. In that one game against Keenan we lost. Time Warp, yeah, we're throwing all the extra turn spells we can, you know, that don't make us die in the next turn, like that one Brawl spell, I can't remember the name of it on top of my head for some reason. Time Warp, Karn's Temporal Sundering, and of course A-Alrund's Epiphany. These are 3 extra turn spells. We are running Emergent Ultimatum, so we basically, if you want, you can just find those 3 spells. You're guaranteed 2 extra turns. Your opponent's going to stop you from using Karn's Temporal Sundering, because the difference between all those is that Karn's Temporal Sundering bounces a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Downside, however, though, is that if you may not be able to cast this if you don't control a legendary creature or a planeswalker, so keep that in mind. However, if you can get 2 extra turns, your opponent's probably going to concede at that point because you're going to just be so far ahead. Let's see, Fires of Invention, you know, they nerfed it by increasing this by 1 more mana, but it's still good. You can play Fires of Invention, then go into Golos, and then you just go to town from there, because it's still really strong play right there, even at 5 mana. Because, again, like, being able to open up your mana for Golos activations while also playing spells from your hand is pretty strong. However, downside, of course, is that the Golos, any spells you cast from Golos do count towards your 2 spells you can cast per turn with Fires of Invention. But if you've got any way to blow it up, with maybe, or balance it like with Teferi, then you can use those, you can cast the spells with Golos first, then cast some spells with from your hand, or vice versa, you know, whichever order you want to do. You can probably want to cast spells from your hand first, so that way you can take advantage of the free mana, and then cast like your normal spells. So figure out whichever combination works best for you, that gets you most cards out of your hand. Teferi, Hero Dominaria, you know, it's just a powerful card, you know, if left unchecked. Kaya the Inexorable is like interaction, strong Planeswalker. Planeswalkers, a lot of them interact in some way, so this deck does have interaction. It's not like it's trying to like do its own, minding its own business as a glass cannon strategy now. Like, it's got lots of interaction. Even if Golos cannot stick, we've got other ways to try to like slow down your opponent, play a fair game of Magic, and try to take over with some of our walkers. Nicol Bolas, Dragon God, you know, so powerful and hilarious if you can try to pull off the old. I've never pulled it off, but it would be awesome if you did. Niv Reborn can generate a lot of card advantage. Commander Dread Horde is a game-winning card right there if you're able to reanimate a couple of creatures and planeswalkers. Really love that card. Liliana Dread Horde General, you guys saw that. I was going to win the game that last match we played. Chandra Awakened Inferno, you know, it's like a mini board wipe, and also functions as a legitimate win condition. Those emblems really add up, and you can slap 2 or 3 of those, and your opponent's got the clock on them for sure. Functions as removal as well, can blow up like planeswalkers too in a pinch if they happen to be sizable. Storm the Festival is kind of like one of those extenders, as I call it in Yu-Gi-Oh. basically, you hit this off of Golos, and you can start playing even more cards off of that. So it's effectively this becomes 2 cards, unless of course you just happen to hit 5 of the 15 or so spells that happen to be more than 5 mana. So the probability of hitting at least one thing is really high, and hitting 2 things is still pretty high too. And there's because you can also just play lands in worst case scenario. Of course, you hope that you can play like Nigobolas and Ashiok or something like that, so you're powerful walkers. Let's see. So there's that, and it also has a flashback too if you ever need to play it. If you get to the late game for some reason, Warrenclex, just crazy powerful win condition, in conjunction with like Planeswalkers. Casualties of War can just win you the game. This is oftentimes I win the game if you play this like so early and just blow up an opponent's land, creature, artifact, and just put them so far behind. Punishes anyone who's trying to go really fast. Garrick, Curse Huntsman, I kind of have been debating about cutting this card out, but its old is so funny that I kind of want to keep it in there. Ugin the Ineffable, is also again another piece of interaction, and makes a couple of spells 2 less to cast in a pinch, which is kind of relevant because Golos, if he gets blown up, it costs 2 less to cast, so it kind of like takes off the mana the commander tax off of him. We got Kira's Best Esika. This guy is just kind of like a alter, kind of like a. It's not I win the game, but it definitely puts you in a really strong position if left unchecked. Judge's Ultimatum and Merchant Ultimatum, if these things resolve, your opponent's probably losing. Omniscience, again, like being able to just dump out your handful of like bomb spells if you get this off of Goals is really powerful. And we got Ulamog. Ulamog is just strong, So we got cards that are banned like Ugin and all them, but we still have plenty of spells because this is historic, so we have access to like pretty much everything. We have our lands. This is flexible depending on what you have. It's a 5-color deck, so it's not going to be cheap. I just happen to have a lot of these cards because I did play heavily around the Ravnica era. So I do have all these like different check lands and shock lands. But if you just start playing more recently, and you could still play this deck with like some of the more recent lands. Like these lands are here, like Deathcat Blade is honestly really good in my opinion. Like I really like these cards. These are better suited for like a setting like Brawl and Commander. I don't have as many in here because I find the check lands and shock lands obviously way more consistent, especially because we want to get that turn 2 play whenever we can. And these guys, unless you played on turn 1, can't get you there. I do still like them, but I think it's just in moderation, right? We have a typical mystery just because it's just like one of right there. I could really replace this with like any of these other I don't even know what kind of lands they're called. These lands where the ETB tapped unless you control 2 or more other lands. The reverse of the fast lands. Slow lands, maybe? We have the Triomes, all of them, because they count for they count as 3 different land types. So that's why I'm saying like the check lands can pretty consistently come out untapped if you slap this down on like turn 1. We got the World Tree. Usually you'll tutor this off of Golos right there to fix our colors, because once you have 6 or more lands, they basically all tap for any color. The activated ability it's not really relevant. Like we have like 2 gods in this deck, but I don't think we're ever gonna need to be in that position where we need to play our gods. We got Fatal Passage right there. It synergizes with some of our cards like Lotus Cobra, and does fix our mana in a pinch. So yeah, that's the card by card. That's the deck right there. It's flexible. It's just throw whatever cards you want in there, and just play some good stuff. I guess a good foundation for the deck would probably be some of like the 1 to 3 mana cards in here, and then everything that's like 4 mana and above are kind of just like the whatever you want, good stuff. Although I still would recommend keeping like Doomscar, Sad Robot, and a couple of other like dorks and like removal spells. Like Binding Gods is an uncommon, so you can easily make that if you don't have it already. I know it's pretty expensive with like all the rares and uncommon and mythics. Again, I don't really craft cards. I don't try to use any rares or mythic wild cards just for these kinds of events unless I know that I'm going to be using that card. Like I did craft Karn's Temporal Sundering because I know that is a spell I will be using moving forward, and any of my like historic builds, because it's an extra one of the few extra turn spells available to us in Arena. I probably will be crafting Colgan's Command. I just need to figure out what I want to cut out from this deck, and I have a few contenders. One of them is Tamiyo, the other one's Teferi. Tamiyo is slow. However, that static ability where spells and abilities your opponents control can cause you to discard cards or sacrifice permanents can be relevant, and it's funny when it does come up. Stops your opponent from like dot seizing you, stops them from like using any Liliana's effects where they make you sacrifice stuff, edict effects. But other than that, it doesn't really advance the board state, which is the problem with Tamiyo, and it doesn't interact with your opponent's cards. So I think I've kind of talked myself into it. Like, Teferi does interact at least. I hate cutting Tamiyo because we almost are never going to get to that point in the game where we have to like play fair game. I'm going to cut that, put Colligan's Command in there. Colligan's Command is just so good. I definitely underestimate how good this card is in this kind of setting right here. Yep, there it is. Yeah, it's also cheaper too. Being able to interact with your opponent early on is really handy. And I've seen this in a lot of like more competitive builds. So yeah, competitive Brawl, and it's not really much of a thing. But anyone who really takes it seriously, I like Brawl a lot. There's really a lot of diversity and really makes room for a lot of cards that don't really have a home in a lot of other formats. Like EDH, there's so many other more viable options in EDH than like some of the cards we were running in this Brawl deck. But you know, it's a pretty fun format, Historic Brawl. I don't really play too much anymore. I just don't really play it too much anymore. But I still play for the midweek Magic events, and they're still fun. And I'll play the occasional like draft or sealed event. Like the upcoming set, I'll definitely play like a sealed event for that, and maybe a draft. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that, and I will see you next time.